Kevin and Todd, good morning. A federal judge in California could soon upend the federal government's immigration enforcement operations there, and more evidence of an alarming increase in violence facing immigration enforcement agents around the country. Let's start in California, where we're told that dozens of people were taken into custody during an immigration sweep at 2 farming facilities there. Tear gas and smoke bombs deployed after protesters pelted agents with rocks, and federal authorities are now on the lookout for a suspect who appeared to fire a gun at them. And now this from a U.S. attorney for the Central District of California who posted on X, the FBI has issued a $50,000 award for information leading to the conviction of an unknown subject who appeared to fire a pistol at federal law enforcement officers near Camarillo. And we know the extent of threats and assaults that federal agents have faced around the country in recent days, including, as you see there, a man who was arrested and charged with threatening to kill a Homeland Security agent. All of this as we await this decision from a federal judge in California who seems inclined to severely limit immigration enforcement efforts by the Trump administration. The Biden appointee indicating that she may issue a temporary restraining order today, perhaps siding with litigants who argue that ICE agents are violating constitutional rights. And here in Washington, we're seeing more efforts from the administration to curb federal benefits for illegal immigrants, including limiting access to Head Start and other educational programs. But Todd and Kevin, those efforts, too, are likely to face some legal challenges.
What would you say you do here?
I will fight every day to restore confidence and integrity to the Department of Justice and each of its components.
That's totally brutal. Okay. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is Free for All Friday. Oh, I am thankful for this Friday. This has been an absolutely brutal week, but we are proud of the work that we have done. It's a binary decision to stick to your guns and to say that we should not have any safe haven for child predators. And if you are a child predator, know a child predator, or if you are enabling a child predator, something we'll get to in just a moment, then you deserve to have your life destroyed. And that's something that we're not going to back down on, and it's something that we're very proud of. It's a principled stance. Maybe it's not a popular stance. I don't know. But it sure the hell is something that we're not going to change. And so, ladies and gentlemen, on this beautiful Friday, July 11th, 2025, happy Free for All Friday. We're going to have one heck of a show for you today as Trump's ex-Epstein lawyer drops bombshell. I know the names of who's on the Epstein list. Yeah, what are you talking about? There's no Epstein list. Of course there's an Epstein list. I know all of them. Also, the guards killed him. Okay, cool. All right, great. Why don't we go back and look through a little bit of what the people who know what's going on with Epstein have said over the past few years. I think that will tell a bit of a tale for us. Protesters opened fire at feds. Democrats have become the party of insurrectionist violence. Every single waking moment is worse than anything that happened on January 6th. And it makes my blood boil, and it sends a chill down my spine how much the federal government rabidly and demonically pursued grandmothers who even looked at the United States Capitol on January 6th, but can't seem to find themselves any of the billionaires who are literally on the flight logs for Jeffrey Epstein and on camera footage that they have. Strange that, isn't it? Yeah. Interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, Roseanne Barr joins the show. We'll have Roseanne on the program. Let's hear what she has to say about this. Very interesting stuff. Robert Barnes will also be on the program, legal expert, a very wise man. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Allio! How I'm going to say it. Because I like it. I like this app. It's an awesome app. We've been what you'd call burning the midnight oil. I don't know if we have the yeah, we do have the photos. ALX came over to my house last night. ALX is here in the studio. He refuses to appear on camera. Maybe I'll force him to appear on camera. I just gave him an alligator Alcatraz hat. Maybe I'll force him to come on the show. I don't know. Should we force ALX to actually come on the stream? Should we force him into the studio? We'll see. We'll see with his brand new alligator Alcatraz hat. We took ALX out to Here's ALX having dinner with my kids last night. Why am I showing you this? I'm showing this to let you know that I come home, and like many men of young children, many fathers of young children, I have very little time in the day, right? It's very precious, the time that I get with my children. I work every bit of 16 hours every single day. You guys see the content up on the site. And, like, quite frankly, when the kids go back to bed, I go right back down and start working again. So, like, we are entrepreneurs on this program. We grind and we hustle and we do it for you. The point is that I don't have any time to invest, right? You get a little scratch on the side. You want to be part of the American dream. You want to reinvest in the American market. You just don't have any time. ALX saw that firsthand last night. ALX got clobbered by my kids. My kids thought that ALX was bringing them treats. That was the entire night. They were like, ALX, can I have an ALX treat? Can I have an ALX treat? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, ALX always be posting. Good job, poster. The point is that who has the time? Allio Capital helps me make sure that my investments are managed and are fluctuating correctly with markets, with world events, with rates of inflation, with dynamic changes like wars or tariffs. Their AI is spectacular, and ladies and gentlemen, they're perfect for macro investors like me, who's very hands-off. Because frankly, who has the time? I'm not a day trader. Ladies and gentlemen, we cover traders on this show. We don't day trade, and that's why I appreciate Allio. Download their app right now in the Google or Apple Play Store. Text my name, Benny, to 511-511. That's ALLIO, capital. Benny to 511-511, ALLIO, app. Text Benny. This is a spectacular app. I use it myself. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Let's rock and roll today. I'm talking about capital and talking about the way that our economy runs. And some of the evils, quite frankly, in our system. I'm certainly not a tear-it-all-down guy. But we used to have a country that cared more about our people than the bottom line, than the GDP. The problem over the last couple of years is that America, as we know it, has become effectively just a tax cattle zone. An economic zone, you might say. There's a theory out there that comes from some of the worst actors on the left and the right, that we are not a people, that we are simply tax cattle. We don't have a history, we don't have a nation, we don't have a culture, we don't have an identity, we are not a race. We are just simply a pass-through zone for corporate profits. And that is utterly evil. In fact, that's one of the core tenets of what America First is, that we define ourselves as a nation of law and order, a people with a proud history and a culture. And that we should be focusing on here, our people. This is why it's thrilling for us that some of the best economic numbers, I would argue the best economic number to date inside of the Trump era is the native-born workers number. Alex, I know you pulled this yesterday. The native-born workers number in America has gone up by 1.4 million. And the foreign-born worker number in America has collapsed through the floor. I believe by close to 500,000 foreign-born workers have lost their jobs, and native-born workers are skyrocketing in their employment. There's a Zero Hedge article. There it is. These are the best numbers that you could possibly ask for. It shows the administration is focusing on what is truly America First, putting our nation, our nationality first. There's a problem here. And the problem is that over the course of the last couple of decades, many politicians have either been bribed, bent, broken, or corrupted in order to put other nations first, in order to put corporate profits first. And in order to achieve the margins that they need, they abuse children. And that abuse knows multiple forms. Some of the abuse is like what happens with Epstein. This is how Epstein gets trafficked kids, by the way. They smuggle them in. This is why the most atrocious number in the Biden era was the 400,000 missing children. And we found some of them. But I want to take a step back and play you a clip that went viral and that we haven't played all week. And that's my fault. It's probably the single most damning clip in this entire Epstein saga. And it doesn't have to do with Epstein, and I have to do it with Donald Trump. It has to do with somebody named Cindy McCain. Cindy McCain, a very powerful lady. She was an ambassador under Joe Biden, obviously married to John McCain. She was John McCain's wife, while John McCain was an incredibly powerful senator and was the Republican candidate for president. Cindy McCain went on stage live and described her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And it is bone-chilling. If you want to look at the core problem that this country is facing with child trafficking, and we're going to get into the various shades of child trafficking, there's the Epstein style, and then there's what happened in California yesterday with the slave labor exposed, child slave labor exposed by Democrats yesterday. And they're two sides of the same penny. It's evil, and our political class looks the other way for corporate profits and because the intel agencies, they're just too damn scared of them. As admitted here by Cindy McCain, one of the single most powerful women in all of politics. Listen to her talk about being utterly helpless, even though she knew what Jeffrey Epstein was doing the whole time. Listen to this admission. It's chilling. Watch.
Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing. But we had no one that was, legal aspect that would go after him. They were afraid of him. For whatever reason, they were afraid of him. All of a sudden, someone said...
Okay. So we were all afraid of him. We wouldn't go after him. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing. We all knew he was raping kids. We knew it, but we still took his donor money. This is not some lady at the PTA, talking to you in the Walmart checkout line. This is the wife, the would have been First Lady of the United States in 2008. Had we not run such a diseased rhino? This is the lady who's on the board of so many human trafficking orgs, right? Like they all are, right? Like none of them do anything for human trafficking. Jill Biden's on a Save the Children board. What did her husband do for saving the children? Yeah. This is allowed inside of our political class. More importantly, this is enabled by their silence. Cindy McCain is as guilty as anyone via this admission. I mean, have you ever seen this clip? Doesn't it horrify you? Doesn't it make your blood run cold? We all knew what he was doing, but we were too scared. It was like too messy to do anything about it. Well, I don't know about you. I didn't know what the hell Epstein was doing. I didn't even know about Jeffrey Epstein until actually President Trump made him part of the political zeitgeist as an attack on Bill Clinton, and a rightful attack. But that's crazy ass clip there, man. That's insane. They did nothing. Has Cindy McCain ever been brought in and asked questions by the Department of Justice? Have they ever brought her in and said, like, you're going to have to answer for this whole, like, we all knew what Epstein was doing thing? What did you know? When did you know it? Why didn't you report it? Very odd stuff. Very strange and disturbing. And there's a reason why they actually like the child trafficking, though. Some of it's the Epstein stuff. But I would argue that the majority of the child trafficking is actually economic. They want anchor babies. They want children here to forever change. They want children here from the third world, from foreign lands, to forever change the makeup of this country in order to stack the deck for Democrats in the census, in order to pack as many third world human beings into our nation as possible, in order to rig elections, and to give them more congressional seats. That's the great replacement. That's what it means. That's what it is. It's on paper. It's in their plans. They've written it down, and they've openly talked about it. And now they're demonically shrieking because the plan is being reversed. And that happened yesterday. And exposed a deep and abiding evil inside of Democrats, which is that this party has changed nothing from the days of slavery, which this was the exact same argument for bringing slaves to this country by the same party. Here, I can it's not just a, this is not just a, this is not just a slur. I can prove it to you. It's not an ad hominem attack. They've said it in their own words. You can picture a plantation owner sitting on his porch being like, well, you know what, if we got rid of slavery, who'd pick our crops? Go check the writings of the Civil War, right? But you can also fast forward to today's modern Democrat Party to clips like this of Nancy Pelosi saying the exact same thing.
We have a responsibility to secure our border. We also have a responsibility to recognize the importance of newcomers to our nation. Right now, the best thing that we can do for our economy is to have comprehensive immigration reform. We have a shortage of workers in our country, and you see even in Florida, some of the farmers and the growers saying, why are you shipping these immigrants up north? We need them to pick the crops down here. But that doesn't...
We need them to pick the crop. It's just like, which poor Guatemalan has to put the glue on Pelosi's dentures every morning? Same thing with Jerry Nadler. What poor Nigerian or Haitian has to cinch his belt somewhere right underneath the nipple line? Jerry Nadler. Who will pick my crops? Here we go.
And we need immigrants in this country. Forget the fact that the farm that our vegetables would rot in the ground if they weren't being picked by many immigrants, many illegal immigrants. The fact is that the birth rate in this country is way below replacement level, which means our population is going to start shrinking. And the ratio of people on Social Security and Medicare is going to increase relative to the number of people supporting them.
Wow, look at that. I mean, it's amazing how in their senility, speaking of a vegetable, nobody in Congress is shaped more like a literal vegetable than Jerry Nadler. Yeah, that's right. And like, when was the last time this dude ate a vegetable? I know he voted for a vegetable in Joe Biden. So, like, what? Like, somebody explain it. Somebody explain to me how useful this clip is. It's incredibly useful. Jerry Nadler straight up being like, you know, native-born Americans aren't having enough kids, so we're going to import all the children to pick our crops. That's what he says. This one's great from The View. Listen to this. This is, who's going to not just pick our crops? Okay, there's some nobility. I come from farmland, right? I come from middle of nowhere farmland, Iowa. Like, you know, and I worked on farms my entire life growing up. There's nobility in farming. It's great and good hard work, and you feel really good about yourself at the end of the day. This is a little worse. This wench on The View decided to cackle about how many criminal aliens scrub the inside of her toilet, how she needs that. She's not going to do it.
There are a lot of Latinos here in this country that do agree that the immigration problem is a problem, and it does need to be addressed, and it does need to be fixed.
Interesting.
But making those comments, those racist comments, do not help.
And if you kick every Latino out of this country, then who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?
Oh, that's no.
In the sense that, you know what I mean? Like.
It's a full mask off moment. And you just gotta, and some level, you gotta love the honesty, even though it comes due to the low IQ and the smooth brain of these people. You gotta just appreciate the brutal honesty. One last one, because some of those clips are older. This one's brand new. Jasmine Crockett. We ain't gonna work on farms no more. You know, what's so weird is that, like, these are the same individuals that were pushing for abject racist policies in favor of black farmers inside of the Biden administration. No difference, frankly. I think we have that case. Do we have that documentation? They were just, if you were a black farmer, they were like giving you interest-free loans. They were giving out loans based on your skin color for farming. It's wild. But here's Jasmine Crockett saying there's no such thing as black farmers. Whatever. Here, listen to this.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands. You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
I know that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Talk about jokes that do not hit. Yeah, all right, okay. We got a number for Jasmine Crockett. We'll be going down to Jasmine Crockett's district, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be picking some viral content down there. We got a whole plan set up for her. Don't worry, Jasmine. We on our way. Okay. The point is that they're pretty mask off on this. Like, they don't even try and hide it. Thousands and thousands of children vanish under Joe Biden's watch. The total number was around 400,000. Here we go. Between 2019 and 2023, 448,000 unaccompanied minors were encountered by the Department of Homeland Security, according to his figures, who were then transferred into the United States. 448,000 unaccompanied minors. Unspeakable. Where'd they go exactly? Where are they now? Where are they now? Well, we found out yesterday. Yesterday, there was a massive ICE raid at a huge California cannabis farm. This led to clashes between federal agents and protesters. Federal agents were shot at. There's a lot of attempted murder. We can show you the absolute demonstrable evidence of attempted murder against federal officers. This happens again on a daily basis. All of it worse than anything that happened on January 6th. What I find particularly repugnant is that we were able to find, actually, where so many of those missing migrant children went. You can see in the footage. Here, in ALX, you're going to have to guide me here. Where's the footage? You can see in the footage here, there's children. There's children that are fleeing the fields. There were like children everywhere inside of the marijuana farm. In fact, there was this is the man firing on. Thank you, guys. This is the man firing on ICE agents. But yes, you can see there were children running through and running away from the federal agents. Child slave labor. I think it was the Department of Homeland Security, right? That went after Gavin Newsom this morning. Why were there children working at the marijuana facility, Gavin? Look at that. Kids running from tear gas, crying on the phone because their mother was just taken from the fields. Trump calls me new scum. Why were the children working in the marijuana facility, Gavin? This is why we fight. This is what we're fighting for. Like, we're fighting against child slave labor. We're fighting against child abuse in every facility, in every form, whether it's Epstein or a marijuana field. It's utterly evil. This is a marijuana facility. The growth of OG Kush is not the backbone of our food chain, says Alex Pfeiffer. Breaking: ICE just swarmed Ventura County fields, hauling away farm workers who keep America's produce aisles stocked. Yeah, no, it's a marijuana farm. Dumbass. They have been okay, so let's read the article and then we'll show you some of the clips. Thank you. Protesters clashed with federal authorities Thursday during an immigration operation north of Los Angeles at a marijuana farm employing illegal criminal aliens. Multiple agents arrived at the Glass House Farms, a state-licensed cannabis facility, which is considered illegal under federal law in Camarillo. Federal authorities had a warrant for the illegal employees, Fox News has learned. Another raid also occurred in the Glass House Farm in Carpinteria. People were seen confronting the agents who used tear gas and smoke bombs. Federal personnel used gas to push the protesters back who arrived on the scene after getting word of the raid. Military helicopters were also seen flying low over the fields, maneuver generally used to flush out people in hiding. It's becoming increasingly apparent that the actions taken by ICE are bold and aggressive, demonstrating intensity towards the direct impact on our community. Oh boy. Footage captured news outlet several people being detained. The U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California said the FBI has offered a $50,000 reward for information leading to the conviction of an unknown suspect who appeared to fire a pistol at federal law enforcement. We have that footage here. Let's pop that up, please. Thank you. The FBI has issued a $50,000 reward for information leading to the conviction of an unknown suspect who appears to have fired a pistol trying to kill federal law enforcement. Do we have that footage of all the bricks and rocks being thrown at the cars? I'm sure that we do, or at the very least, we can find it. Say we're doing the same thing. There's attempted murder. Someone's going to die. I mean, they're going to kill a federal officer every day. You know, not a single January 6th peaceful protester was found to have a firearm on them. Not one. Trust me, if they had found a firearm, it would, you know, they'd have it in a museum at this point, right? Gilded in gold. There were no firearms. Ladies and gentlemen, this happens on a daily basis, not just with guns, but with rocks and bricks. This is one example. There's more from yesterday. There's more from yesterday, boys. But this is the same thing that was happening. This is what was happening a few weeks ago in the LA riots. You know, when a car is traveling 20, 30, 40 miles an hour and you throw a brick through its windshield, you'll kill someone. That's the intention. The intention is to murder somebody. So I need murder charges for all of these people. Here they are. They're on camera. I mean, it's in the broad daylight. They're on camera throwing these bricks. This is what happens when you allow so many foreigners into your land. You know, you have to assume that the people that are engaging like this, that they have, of course, zero respect for federal authority. They have zero respect for this land, this nation, or its laws. They have zero respect for the people that are trying to enforce those laws. Obviously, they're trying to kill them. The reason why that is so obvious and easy for them is because they have no connection to this land. Their grandparents or parents didn't build this land at all. They weren't born here, and they intend on going back home. They just want to abuse this nation, use it as an economic zone in order to send as many dollars as they possibly can back to the hellhole that they come from. That's the intent. This is the final result. When you see the Mexican flags waving in LA, that's the final result. This is the time for that. There you go. When you see this is the final result of letting an invasion army hit critical mass. According to the ICE website, there are at least 1 million criminal aliens in the Los Angeles area alone. At least 1 million. This is what my party stands against. This is what our movement stands against. This is what America First actually is. President Trump at the White House. President Trump at the White House quite recently. Is this from today or is this from recent? Let me know, boys. Donald Trump talking about all the missing children. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. President Trump, how many missing kids are there?
You know, something that you should have that you haven't reported. As you know, 300,000 children are missing, right? 300,000 under Biden. We've already gotten back 10,000 of those children, and we have a lot more planned to come back. We're getting them back by the thousands. But 300,000, and we've, as of this morning, over 10,000 we've gotten back.
They're using the kids that they smuggled in here as slave labor in marijuana plants. That's what we learned last night. You probably assume that already. That's probably not news to you, but at least we have the footage of it. Now, here's the helicopter footage, ladies and gentlemen. This is what they were, I mean, they brought full force. And I love it. I love it because these are called deterrence tactics. I want these scenes to play out as broadly and as widely on social media as humanly possible as a deterrent to say you're not allowed to be here as a criminal alien. It's already having a profound effect on LA. There's no more traffic in LA. It's insane. The clips are wild on the LA freeways. This is a deterrent. This is the vision of America as a economic zone where the masses of the third world can come and take advantage and steal jobs, work for pennies as slaves, abuse their children, and let American corporations abuse their children are over. We're going to have a morally justifiable nation. It's what makes my blood boil so much on this Epstein topic, because there's different levels of abuse, and you have to be morally justified on all levels. You have to be able to say it's all wrong. And that child abuse, whether it's in the marijuana fields, taking advantage of these little kids, working in cannabis fields. Why are there little children? Why were the majority of the people running out of the cannabis fields children? Can somebody explain that to me? I need major federal prosecutions here. There need to be major prosecutions here. But anyway, it's having the effect. The effect is that no matter what, life in Guatemala is better than having to be chased out of a field with tear gas stinging your eyes and then being locked up in alligator Alcatraz. That, trust me, like self-deporting is better. That's the point. And here's what self-deportation looks like. Look at these freeways. Look at this. This is the single greatest phenomenon. The single greatest phenomenon in America right now are the freeways of Los Angeles. The fact that you can just drive through Los Angeles with no traffic, and there's no longer like Donald Trump's deportations or more or less self-deportations, stoppages of criminal aliens working, has led to green traffic throughout all of LA. Stephen Miller had a great quote on this. Like, what if actually the greatest ill for all of the country, like what if the single solution for the entire nation was simply enforcing our immigration laws? For our healthcare system, for our social services, for our national cohesion, for the hiring of American workers, and to solve probably the single most unsolvable problem in all of America, the problem I wouldn't want, I'll take like a bunch of what I wouldn't want on my plate, fix LA traffic. What if the entire time the key to fixing our cities was enforcing our immigration laws? That's right. Tom Homan up on this morning, saying there will be no amnesty. We are locking in and we're locking down. Let's go.
But Tom, it strikes me unbelievable that the Democrats are not on board. When you look at this raid, there were 10 juveniles that were illegally brought across the border. You and I covered this under the Biden administration. I was down in Texas. We encountered 8, 10-year-old, 12-year-olds coming across with just a name and an address and a phone number on their necks, the cartel ruthlessly sending them across. And yet now we know that 10 of them, 8 of which were unaccompanied minors working illegally in a marijuana farm, and your agents go in and rescue them essentially, and yet there is violent resistance to that. Does that upset you?
It certainly upsets me, and like I said, the work men and women of ICE are doing is incredible. Look, we're looking for over 300,000 missing children. We've already found 10,000. Have you heard that anywhere? No, the media is simply not covering it. And look, this should be a nonpartisan issue. Arresting public safety threats and national security threats, everybody be on the same page on that. Rescuing children, I mean, it should be a nonpartisan issue. Everybody should be in lockstep on that, but they're not. The media's lying. The Democrats they don't want President Trump to be successful. I got news for them. We are being successful. Every illegal alien public safety threat we arrest makes this country safer. Every national security threat we take off the street and deport makes us safer. And we're rescuing thousands of children. The lives saved every day by ICE, the lives saved every day by Border Patrol, are in the hundreds. So the only thing I can think of, Griff, if they hate President Trump more than they love their community, they hate President Trump more than they want, safe communities. And there's just no other excuse why this is not, why this has become a partisan issue to take public safety threats off the street.
And
so that's where they went. That's where the kids went. Working as unaccompanied minors, slave laborers on marijuana farms, deep into the fields of California, picking crops. Democrat Party has never changed. They won't change. And I want to live in a nation like that. I want to live in a nation like this, with the native-born workers skyrocketing. You're not allowed to hire a 6-year-old in America. There are rules against that. But if the kid's off the books, then what are you going to do? How are you going to find out? Unless you take the helicopters and run them through the fields, unless you do the militant raids, how are you going to find out? And I'm really worried. I need everybody to say a prayer for our ICE agents today. I'm worried about them, man. I'm worried about them. I don't want anyone to die. But it's a scary time right now. I'm watching the violence and the rhetoric accelerate here. And we're fighting darkness. We're fighting evil. We're fighting darkness and demons and evil. And they'll kill, obviously. Steal, kill, and destroy is the nature of Satan. So this is how it works. So pray for our federal agents right now as they enforce our laws and make us a moral nation again, which is, again, why we have spent the week, every show this week, railing on the Epstein topic. I'm a massive fan of President Trump. I voted for President Trump 3 times. Campaigned with President Trump. Blown on his plane. I like President Trump. I like his administration. So many of the clips of the administration officials, high up administration officials going viral this week are from this show when we were asking about Epstein. And the reason we ask about Epstein, and I don't have to explain it every show, but I just want to set the table very, very quickly here. One, I'm a father. Go to my pinned tweet, please. I'm a father, and I want to live in a moral nation that protects children. That's important to me because of this state-sanctioned Epstein pederast chain, like children were not protected. My motivations are very simple. Protect children. That's it. This is why I believe abortion is murder, period. Abortion is murder. Abortion is murder. Okay? I'm going to say it. That is the belief of this program. You can say it unequivocally. You can say these things in a binary because they should own no part. Like child abuse is wrong. People who abuse children should be punished. And everybody who knows them or enables them, as Sidney McCain did, should be punished as well. It makes it very easy when you become a father, but anyone can lock in here. Any moral person can lock in and see that it's wrong to protect individuals who are engaging in any type of child abuse, whether it's in a marijuana field for slave labor or whether it's what Epstein did. No, this is the motivation, ladies and gentlemen. I want to live in a moral country to know that I'm not paying taxes to a predator cult. It's pretty low bar, right? Are my taxes going to pay for a predator cult? As we covered yesterday. Epstein, a CIA agent? That's interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe that kind of explains the whole bit, isn't it? Epstein, in a Evening Standard article yesterday, outed as a CIA agent. Oh, he just bragged about being a CIA agent. Don't worry about it. We buried that. It's 20 years old. Klein is right here at the top, buddy. Yeah, please work through with me. We got problems, though. We got problems because, the issue's not going away. And so we're going to have to do more work. We found out yesterday that the administration is now working with Judicial Watch to release all their Epstein records. Well, which one is it? Do you have records or don't you? Are they sitting on your desk or are they not? Are you going to release them or not? You know, you have to, actually, under FOIA laws, you have to release them. So what's going on here? Who's on first? What they released was an insult to us, not only because it lacked zero explanation. The jailhouse footage had missing minutes in it. People were going in and out of the floor at the prison. The footage didn't show Epstein's tear block. It didn't show his cell door at all. It didn't show anything having to do with Epstein. Epstein was off camera the entire time. Anything could have happened in his cell. And nobody explained it. They just dumped the footage and just expected us to shut up. It's insane. But also because of demonstrable levels of evidence from people who knew Epstein the very best. Like Alan Dershowitz, his lawyer, who says, oh yeah, totally. I not only is there a list, not only are there a bunch of clients who did bad things, but I know all of them. I'm not allowed to talk about it, but I totally know them. Here's Alan Dershowitz, ladies and gentlemen.
This is not an opinion. This is a fact. I have seen, remember, I was accused falsely on the Epstein, and ultimately I was completely cleared. The woman admitted that she may have mistook me for somebody else and withdrew all of her lawsuits. And so from day one, from the day I was accused, I said I want every document out because I knew every document would prove I was innocent. So let me tell you, I know for a fact documents are being suppressed. And they're being suppressed to protect individuals. I know the names of the individuals. I know why they're being suppressed. I know who's suppressing them, but I'm bound by confidentiality from a judge and cases, and I can't disclose what I know. But I hand to God, I know the names of people whose files are being suppressed in order to protect them, and that's wrong.
Just out of curiosity, without names, are these politicians, business leaders, both?
They're everything. And let me tell you, a lot of them are, at least one of them is somebody who was accused. Others are accusers. And the judges have said, if somebody calls themselves a victim, we're not going to give any information about them. But they may not be victims. They may be perpetrators. So we don't have information about false accusers. And we know there have been many false accusers who have accused innocent people for money. And those records are being deliberately, willfully suppressed. And they shouldn't be suppressed. If the accusation is allowed out, so should the material that diminishes the credibility of the accuser. We want total transparency on this. Every single document, no redaction. That's what I've said from day one. I waive any of my rights of privacy. Anything there is about me, I'm happy because it will be exculpatory, because I know I haven't touched a woman other than my wife from the day I met Jeffrey Epstein. I don't even hug people, but I was falsely accused and I was able to prove it. And I was able to prove it through documents. And I want other people to be able to disprove false accusations through documents. But these documents are being suppressed and withheld.
How do you square a statement like that from Epstein's lawyer with what we've gotten from the government? You can't. And so there are various good things, very good things that the Trump administration is doing. In the effort to close down our border, they have shut down the greatest child smuggling pipeline and child slavery pipeline in the world. We know there's at least 500,000 children, some of them working deep inside the fields of a marijuana farm, picking crops, you know, the way the Democrats want them to be. That's what Democrats want. Little children, little helpless children. It's where they want them. But there are also children who were abused in this Epstein nightmare. And they deserve justice as well. If the list was destroyed, you know who the victims were. Go re-interview them. If evidence was destroyed, go gather more evidence. Like, why is this even remotely controversial? Just reopen the investigation. Bring in Clinton. Bring in Dershowitz. Dershowitz is sitting there saying, you know, I'm bound by confidentialities. You know, they close these trials down and then they make people sign these waivers about never speaking about it again. You know, they lock people down. They locked down the client list itself, Ghislaine Maxwell. They lock it all down. And for what? How? Why? Well, because obviously Epstein belonged to Intel. The reason to protect this was not to protect a predator, and I know this as a matter of fact. It's been sent to me by Flax, the FBI, and the DOJ. Like, we appreciate it. They've gone after a ton of child predators, and they put a ton of them in prison. Thousands upon thousands. The Trump administration is doing God's work. Closing the border, that shuts off the largest child sex trafficking and human smuggling and slave labor operation, channel, and tunnel in the world into our nation. Good. Going after other predators. Good. Protecting Jeffrey Epstein. Bad. Telling us to stop asking questions about Jeffrey Epstein. Bad. Not going after Bill Clinton. Bad. You know, if they destroyed the evidence, then just reopen the case. So many of these people are still alive, and that's why it's happening. You know, the sad part about it is that Cindy McCain, you know, you could bring in Cindy McCain. Cindy McCain, in this clip, if you weren't there around for the opening of the show, Cindy McCain, we all knew what Epstein was doing. We all watched it happen. We let it happen. We're enablers. One more time, Cindy. Let's hear her.
Hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing. But we had no plain sight. Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing. But we had no one that was, legal aspect that would go after him. They were afraid of him. For whatever reason, they were afraid of him. All of a sudden,
Okay, there you go. We all knew about it. He was hiding in plain sight. She goes on to say, now he's in jail. Oh, okay. Well, what about when you knew about him, lady? You know, he was getting... when your husband was running for president, was the Republican nominee for president in 2008, that's when Epstein was catching a case. I don't remember hearing anything about Jeffrey Epstein in that presidential run. You know, John McCain could have, talked about it, had a pretty big platform then. Now you're going to do a victory lap? No, lady. No. You don't get to have it both ways. So this is it is a part of the constellation that makes you a moral country, that you don't protect predators. And it's something that obviously, if the Justice Department, the same Justice Department that could lock up every single granny that looked at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th with red hat on, if they can hunt them down and lock them up as though they are the world's greatest terrorists, then you could do work on this list. You could do work and actually get convictions and destroy lives, quite frankly, because there should be no quarter for these people if you wanted to. But for some reason, they don't want to. Virginia Roberts, in her own diary, I was watched by Epstein's hidden cameras. I've seen them myself. I was in the control room. You know, Virginia Roberts worked for Jeffrey Epstein, was one of his first trafficked employees, so to speak. The FBI has the archive footage of me being abused by men used as blackmail. This is directly from her private diary. She's dead now. You know, it's funny. It's like we said this when we watched the reporting of Virginia Roberts' death, and it's chilling, and I hate that we were right. I hate it. We watched this at the time of her death, her suicide. And we said, hold on. They're just getting rid of the evidence. And she's a very big piece of evidence, meaning she's the most outspoken individual who got a multi-million-pound sum of money from the royal family, got Prince Andrew stripped of his titles, and so on. She's somebody who could come back in and be asked questions at any time. Was her suicide getting rid of the evidence? Who's in the little black photo here? There's so much there's so much evidence. It's such an insult to us. We're just going to, I know we've talked about it ad nauseum this week. Why are they blacking out the photo? Who's in that photo? They're redacting a photograph here. These are the government's own photographs. Who's there? It makes me frustrated because the work that President Trump has done on this has been impeccable. The work that the administration is doing is impeccable. I support 99% of it. And this just seems like such a critical and unforced error, ladies and gentlemen. That's what reporting has shown. Daily Caller had a very good, well-sourced report from inside of the administration talking about how this is just a massive, a clinical F-up. The way that they've handled it has just been rolled out in such a nightmarish way. Exclusive top Trump officials admit that they're pissed at how the Epstein story was handled. I encourage you to read it. The article goes on to just say that the sharpest flax inside of the administration are just so frustrated at the rollout of this, because the rollout of this seems to, at every step of the way, and this is what we've heard from our sources in the FBI and the DOJ and the White House, every step of the way, it's just like more mistakes and more cover-ups. Again, this binder said phase 1 on it. Where's phase 2? Why would you hand out or create that? Why would you create this prop if there wasn't anything new in it, and if there wasn't going to be a phase 2? It seems daft. It seems like nobody thought it through. But then on this topic, the reason why this photo was so irritating to people, it was including in that binder, what was supposed to be in that binder was lists of abused, lists of, like some of the darkest abuse in human history. We know that as a matter of fact. It's not speculation. Epstein was found guilty of child trafficking. Ghislaine Maxwell serving prison for child trafficking. Okay, we know that these crimes were heinous. They're out there smiling and glib about it. It's hard for me to really blame the influencers. Quite frankly, you got to blame the people who handed them the binder. At some point there has to be accountability to the people who created the prop, put them in this situation. And that's that's been the attitude the entire time. Then that level of sort of that level of not taking this seriously and just shrugging it off has been coloring this entire episode. And it's really the one topic that you have to take seriously. Like, by its very nature, you must. One new piece of information here, ladies and gentlemen, is a CIA officer explaining what he believes happened with Epstein, talking about it as a series of nightmarish events for the agency itself, and his take on it. It's a unique little piece of media. Let's listen.
In this situation with Epstein and what's going on, who knows exactly what happened? The FBI or CIA?
Well, see, that's really the $64,000 question right there. One thing that didn't surprise me at all was the conclusion that he committed suicide. I've always said he committed suicide. And I say that only because of my own experience in the prison system.
You don't think someone killed him?
No, I don't.
You think he committed suicide?
Yeah. And I'll tell you why.
Please.
Because the Federal Bureau of Prisons is the biggest repository of semi-literate boobs anywhere in government. If you have an IQ of 65 and you want to work in government, straight to the Bureau of Prisons with you, right? Every flunky who couldn't make it through the local police academy, or every loser who left the military and couldn't find a job because he lives in some rural area and there are no jobs unless you want to be a farmer and live in a double wide, they go to the Bureau of Prisons. The guards, so many of the guards were so stupid where I was that they couldn't even read. So they couldn't do mail call because they couldn't read the envelopes. And so prisoners had to do the mail call for them. The only qualifications to be a prison guard are you have to have a GED or be working on a GED and no felony convictions. That's it. That's all. And you're in. So, number one, they're all morons. Number two, the cameras never work. Never. I wrote a blog I used to smuggle out this blog, and my attorney would publish it, and it became my second book, Doing Time Like a Spy. But I wrote this blog about how I was working as a janitor in the chapel. And
this is when you're doing your 23 months.
When I was doing my 23 months,
Yeah.
I was a janitor. I offered to teach a class because I, did my PhD coursework in international affairs, and they told me if they wanted me to teach an effing class, they would ask me to teach an effing class. Now pick up the sweeper or the broom and sweep the floors. So that's what I did. I said fine for 16 cents an hour. So anyway, every time I'd go to the chapel in a period where there wasn't some sort of religious service scheduled, the guys are having sex in there, and I'd have to chase them out.
Why would we play such a clip? Well, firsthand experience and knowledge of the prison system. Two, why are we getting better explanations of our prison system from some rando than we did from our own Department of Justice? The ultimate sin here is that there was zero explanation, zero attempt at an explanation, zero attempt at trying to help the American public understand how this rationale was come to. And there are thousands of clips like that of people having to do the work for the Department of Justice. Lingering question, why the hell would you drop this after a series of President Trump victories and wins on July 4th weekend, almost as an insult to all of us, to color the weekend, almost to try and shove it down the memory hole? That's exactly what they were trying to do. Why would you give it to left-wing media? Why would you have an anti-Trump reporter publish it and then do zero explanation, zero follow-up? Just drop it. Man, it just boggles the mind, ladies and gentlemen. You have to have mobsters. There's a bunch of viral clips from our show, various mobsters getting interviews, inmates getting interviewed, having to do the explanation, Dershowitz having to do the explanation for the federal government. That's not the way it's supposed to be. You have the bully pulpit. You have the evidence. You have the information. You explain. Sit and stand at a podium. I stand all day. Stand at a podium and deliver. And tell the American people, show us your work and tell us how you got there. Trust us, bro. Move along. Doesn't work anymore. Doesn't work, as we have demonstrated time and time again this week. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are searching for truth, you're most likely searching on your mobile device. My mobile device is Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is the cell phone service that keeps this show locked in, no matter where we are on Earth. And we have some big announcements for next week. It's going to be an exciting week. I think we can announce it now. I'll just tell you what we're working on. I hope that it holds up and doesn't fall through. We'll be going up to Washington, D.C., doing a number of interviews, but we'll be live on the program with Speaker Mike Johnson. Be exciting. From the Speaker's office, we'll be live with Speaker Mike Johnson. So prepare your questions. Send them in on your Patriot Mobile device. Prepare your questions for Speaker Mike Johnson. This will be on Tuesday. Again, we're still working on this, but it'll be on Tuesday. So get ready. That's going to be an interesting one. I'm going to ask your questions. We're going to ask your questions live. It's going to be great. It's going to be a live Q&A with the Speaker of the House. Something that we're going to be doing in order to make sure that this audience can lock in and engage with our interviews as we attempt to be the number one show for the coverage of what you are actively interested in and want answers to. Ladies and gentlemen, coverage is what Patriot Mobile has on all three major networks. Patriot Mobile's 100% US-based customer service can make sure that you are switched and activated today. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny, patriotmobile.com/Benny, or call 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code Benny to get a free month of service. Switch today. patriotmobile.com/Benny, 972-PATRIOT. Patriot Mobile will be with us when we do our Speaker Mike Johnson live stream next week. Boy, howdy, get your questions ready. We will be asking your questions. It'll be exciting. Let's ask a few questions to Robert Barnes. I believe the first time Robert Barnes has been on the show. He's a kick-ass dude. He's a constitutional lawyer. And somebody who I think deeply understands the core crisis of trust inside of federal law enforcement. Let's rock it with Robert Barnes. Robert, welcome to the program. It's an honor to have you.
Hey, good to be here.
All right. So what you can't have a functional Department of Justice or FBI or federal law enforcement without anybody having faith in the work that they're doing. And when you have a high-profile case as big as Epstein, you've got to handle it with care. And so the floor is yours, Robert. Do you think this has been handled correctly or with care?
It's one of the biggest disasters and self-owned disasters in Trump's political history, in my view. This issue goes right to the core of confidence in the ability of the government to hold powerful elites to account, to no longer be in bed with foreign intelligence agencies, to have independent decision-making being made at the top ranks of government. And there's a group of voters for whom this is the filter for that. The Epstein cases and how we were going to deal with it was going to tell us whether the Trump administration was truly committed to radical transparency or whether it was going to continue the same poor pattern of our past presidents, Republican and Democrat alike, who have hid things like this for decades. And I think that they came in intending to actually disclose everything. That's the only logical explanation for their behavior for the first 3 months of the administration. And then somewhere along the way, somebody figured out what was actually in the Epstein files, and that it implicates major foreign intelligence agencies, implicates major foreign leaders, implicates major American political donors on both sides of the political aisle, and it may reveal certain techniques. It may be disturbing to most American people to discover that our own intelligence agency is willing to traffic young girls in order to enrich and empower themselves. But that is, in fact, I think what an honest review and a transparent disclosure of the Epstein file would reveal. And that is why I think at some point they figured out it was too much to disclose. And their answer was, let's just pretend it doesn't exist. Let's just kind of skip on. Nothing to see here. Like the Naked Gun scene, that became a famous meme. Nothing to see here as everything's exploding behind him. It was that kind of dynamic. And it was the most tone-deaf response I've ever seen. That's why I tell people, no matter what you think, whether you think it's a deliberate cover-up, or you think that, hey, they came into it and discovered all their theories weren't true and that this guy was just trafficking people to himself, like somehow P. Diddy was supposedly doing, whichever way, this is a disaster. This is incompetence. There's no scenario in which anybody can tell me this is competence. And that by itself destroys credibility. Even if they think you are well-intended, if they think you're a moron, if they think you can't function, they think you can't get anything done, then they are going to lose confidence just as well there. And I think at this point, he has no choice but to either appoint a special counsel or sack Pam Bondi. The longer he keeps Pam Bondi, the more this backfires on Trump himself.
It just colors, as you so correctly put it there, the vector at which a huge portion of the country sees, is our federal government credible, or are they lying to us? And this is what we have been screaming until our voice cracks, Robert, all week, which is that it is a credibility test. And it needs to be taken seriously. And for the life of me, I can't figure out, and you're a smart guy, but I can't figure out why they would dump it this way. Let's say that they had to come to this conclusion, right? There was a gun to their head, too many assets, or too much that they couldn't disclose, and it implicates too many people. Like, you can't... You have to drop it on 4th of July weekend? Like, you have to drop it with left-wing reporters? You have to publish it in the single most insulting way? Like, the wounds were already fresh from the binders, man. Like that. Like, people still remember those. Those will be a meme for the rest of my life, those Epstein binders. And so the indelicacy of it all is astonishing. And why rush it? That's what I can't figure out. Like, why you could say, like, pending investigation, you could have said that for the next couple of years, right? As you tried to figure out a way to, like, get all of this out there. I just don't understand. I don't understand the slamming of the door shut, because it's going to have the exact thermodynamic opposite effect.
No doubt about that. I mean, in my view, as I agree with Sagar, who, when he was on with Tucker, said that his view was that this was intended to be a message. Hey, anybody implicated in this file, anybody implicated in similar kind of behavior, you're off the hook. We're shutting this down. We're closing this off. I mean, you can see the good prince there in UK. He's all excited now. He can travel around the world, not worry about getting randomly arrested. It's a huge favorite of the royal family. The meme is going around with Trump and BB giving Epstein a special designation, that kind of thing. Now, so I think then the question is, to your point, timing. the timing of this is inexplicable.
It's atrocious.
The only thing I can think of is the person who was showing up on Monday is Bibi Netanyahu from Israel, and that this is the Trump somehow. I mean, it seems these two events are coordinated. That's the only that's the only thing that happened significant this week that could explain, in my view, the timing of this self-embarrassing, self-implosive technique that they chose to dump this. It's still unsigned too. I mean, I get it. The Supreme Court gets away with this now and then. We per curiam decisions and whatnot. But I've always found it just outrageous when no one, literally nobody, they couldn't even get the one intern at the bottom of the hill to sign that document because everybody knows it's complete garbage. They say, here's the document. It's out there. We're not denying this document. We're going to post it on our website, but nobody's going to sign it. Nobody. I mean, everybody knows this is radioactive. Apparently, Bongino took the day off to publish reports because of all of this. Now, Viva's theory, Viva Fly, my Sunday show partner, his theory is that this was done actually to embarrass Bongino, especially because Bongino of the three. I mean, the other problem I have with Bondi made this her bona fides. She obtained credibility by being exposing the Epstein issue. She built the drumbeat for years. Now, I personally have always been skeptical of Bondi. When she was the Attorney General of Florida, I can't remember a single thing good she did. I know she got in the way of. I know she helped prosecute Zimmerman in a case that I thought was a clean self-defense case, and I heard that from my lefty buddies. I know she was not a friend of the Second Amendment in Florida during most of the time, according to my Second Amendment friends. They're down there. But she was there during part of the time Epstein was there, and she did nothing about it. So I was always a little curious, and then she was like Pfizer, and now it's coming out that investigates Pfizer. So this is a broad concern.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you reestablish credibility. It's just there are too many people that saw this as their Rosetta Stone that needed to be translated in order to show that this was going to be a administration that's going to not engage in the same cover-ups. And I just wonder, I wonder like the inevitability of a special counsel now. I guess there's plenty of people arguing that it's 5D chess, but like maybe you can explain to me how would that work exactly, and what would they be able to find? Would it be just another cover-up? Because we have Dershowitz out explaining that there is absolutely a list. There's absolutely criminals on that list. He can't tell us who they are, but like they're there. We have the photographs from the FBI that show just mountains of evidence that they have from Epstein, including but not limited to a box of hard drives that were wrapped in yellow evidence tape. A little strange here, Robert.
No doubt about it. The other thing is, I mean, there's tons of financial records. So we know he was blackmailing people, both on reports concerning activities, his relationship with Bill Gates. Bill Gates' wife divorces Bill Gates after she came into knowledge, as she herself has said, about her concerns about his relationship with Epstein. And divorce. I mean, something got to her. That we know of we know his relationship with Wexner, the founder of Victoria's Secret and other big fashion brands, has never been explained. The closest people to Wexner cannot explain how this guy was being given all of this money. I mean, just out of the blue. This is a college dropout who gets hired to gets access to the elite initially by being hired as a school teacher at the prestigious Dalton School. It was while Bill Barr's father was on his way out as headmaster. Now, for people that don't know about Barr's history, Barr goes all the way back to OSS and CIA days before he was a headmaster at Dalton School, right? These are carefully controlled elite institutions. So Epstein seemed to be a recruit of intelligence all the way back to his very beginning. And then he has unexplained finance all over the place, unexplained money all over the place, unexplained property all over the place, unexplained power all over the place. This is the idea that this was just some rando pervert, who was able to snooker his way into a few places. Sorry, some of the wealthiest properties in the world in New York, in Paris, in New Mexico. He literally owned his own island. I mean, all of this is. Everybody can see what this is for. Once it became public, I mean, you had people like Alex Jones screaming about it for 20 years. But outside of that, Epstein was the educator that Eyes Wide Shut was supposed to originally be almost a pseudo-documentary as his last great film of the great filmmaker, the man who gave us Dr. Strangelove and other things that were also subtly hinting at actual mindsets of certain corrupt people in power. So we know his connections to Clinton, his connection to Bill Richardson, his connection to Bill Gates, his connection to two different I mean, what prime minister constantly is visiting Epstein like the Israeli prime ministers were in sequence? It's like, hold on a second. So everybody knows the Ghislaine Maxwell was the key that unglued it, if you understood that background. Robert Maxwell had ties to Mossad, ties to MI6, ties to KGB, and ties to the CIA. I mean, this was a guy who managed to climb his way into almost Rupert Murdoch level media infamy before he fell off a boat right in the middle of his trouble. Just like, and people forget, not only did Epstein kill himself, and I've handled suicide cases all the time in jails and prisons in civil rights context. I know people, I've represented people that have been detained at MDC. Where he was at, it was you were not supposed to be capable of committing suicide. The cell was designed physically and structurally to make it as impossible as possible. And the autopsy reports contradict the official narrative. And then they show us, as you pointed out, an image that's not even consistently of his actual cell. It's the hallway to the cell, and they're pretending, see, this proves it took him. Now, Pam Bondi kind of got caught. She admitted that obviously couldn't prove anything really when she was doing her live statement, but she was like, but evidence before that. What evidence is that, Pam? The evidence you're still not disclosing to us? I mean, this is just an embarrassment on embarrassment. And it's like, why does Trump want to hurt himself like this constantly? I have disagreements with hitching his wagon to Bibi, given all the issues with Bibi, given the disaster in Gaza, given the Iranian war is not in our interest. So that's one thing. But you can see how clueless they are over there. The press secretary is putting out an image of him and Bibi saying now Peace Prize. And it's like, do you not understand even America, Bibi Netanyahu is way underwater. He doesn't have approval even from Republican voters. So it's like, what do you think the global stage wants to give a peace prize because he's seen as backing up Bibi? And it's like this level that they're in levels of denial. You can see Trump's rage at the question. How dare you ask about this? And try to censor the guy by shaming him. That just made Trump look like the idiot, look like the dunce in the room. So he better get ahead of this or he could lose his administration.
I think that the special counsel would be I think the special counsel would be a really sharp move. I really do. Final question for you, Robert. Like what can you explain from a legal standpoint, like what would a special counsel do? How would it operate if it were truly independent and if it were actually truth searching? What would you advise? Let's say you were on it. Like where would you look and what would you do?
So we know a good name for to be special counsel. I'm for, of course, Trump sacking Pam Bondi and putting in a recess appointment as Attorney General. But this person could also be an excellent special counsel, and that would be Matt Gaetz. Because Matt Gaetz has a degree of independence, confidence, because you need somebody that it's like Robert Kennedy on vaccines. If Robert Kennedy comes out and says this is going to be safe and effective, a lot more people are going to believe him than if anybody else is in that position. So you want somebody that when you hear, you say, okay, I trust their representation. But they need to disclose information, including trace the money. Well, where's all the bank and financial records? That has nothing to do with child pornography. That she's like, we can't disclose anything. What, the bank records are child pornography? I don't think so. The photos of Bill Gates showing up on the island? That's not child pornography unless Bill's just an overgrown 6-year-old. So there's a ton of follow the money. That's where you start. Yeah. Follow the money. You'll unwind everything else when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein.
That's been the most. The rollout has been really enraging, but then also the smearing of those wanting truth on this by saying that all we want is child predator material on the internet. Like, no, we don't. We don't. You can keep it. You can destroy that for all I'm concerned. All right. What we want is the list of names, and we want all the rest of the evidence. We don't need any abuse material. But this assumption that somehow anybody calling for transparency here just wants abuse material is it's prima facie insulting. It really is.
Rasmussen is out today. Donald Trump has taken a 30% hit with black voters, right? In his approval. And if you go back to when he first surged with African-American voter approval, it was when he himself was being the wrongful target of the legal system, right? Because they recognize two-sided justice. They recognize two-tier justice when they see it. Trump got a lot of goodwill, and exposing Epstein would have given them continued confidence in him being the revolutionary that we need to repair and restore our republic. And now he's losing that vote for what? For what? I mean, let's say you don't want to implicate Israel, you don't want to implicate the U.S. CIA. Fine, at least disclose everything else. I mean, there's no reason to fail to disclose anything. But at this point, he's going to have to put in somebody else's attorney general sooner or later. It's just a matter of timing. And then second, and Harmeet Dillon, she's doing great work at the Civil Rights Division there. Maybe just elevate her up. That'd be fine by me. She at least gets it. Pam Blondie does not. She thinks Fox News is the world and that the geriatrics are the only people you have to worry about appealing to. Trump, unfortunately, is listening to too much of that. He's getting bad polling from people who don't do reliable polling. I'll just put it kindly, put it that way. He's watching. Who cares what the New York Times thinks? Who cares what the Wall Street Journal thinks? Who cares what Fox News thinks? The most young people today get their information from social media and podcasts. They're not sitting there. Oh, the New York Times. Oh, Trump must be bad today. That isn't what's happening. So Trump needs to wake up and get it together quickly, or he could endanger his entire administration. He thinks this is a minor issue. It is a core issue that goes to the core constituencies that are critical to sustaining MAGA going forward.
Yeah. We've said it before, like you could just, if they destroyed evidence, you could just reopen the case, right? You could just go find evidence. You could go find the...
That'd be a gift. I'd say the Biden administration destroyed everything. These bums destroyed everything. Why were they destroying it? It would be the greatest political gift of all time.
How dare they? Here's like this line from the documents that were released from the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. Bill Clinton likes him young, says one of the victims. Oh, okay. Well, that seems important. Did anybody follow up on that? Like, has anybody asked Bill Clinton about that? I went to community college, Robert. Okay, so I'm not a really smart person, but you'd assume that would be enough evidence given Bill Clinton's relationship to like maybe bring in Bill Clinton for questioning. But as far as I know, and maybe you can correct me on this last question, maybe you can correct me on this. Has Bill Clinton ever been questioned about this at all? Like, I know he hasn't been in the public arena. Like, no reporters ever asked him a single effing question about Jeffrey Epstein ever, right? But like, has Bill Clinton ever had to answer for this?
To my knowledge, no. Nor did another person who we know liked massages, certain Al Gore. Nor did the Bill Richardson, to my knowledge. Nor did Les Wexner, to my knowledge. Nor did Bill Gates, to my knowledge. Nor did so many of these people. The reason why, I mean, they try to throw Dershowitz under the bus and blame him. I never thought the accusations against him were true. He ended up vindicating himself over time. But I always thought the reason they were doing it was to try to shut him up. And I think that's why he's out there telling everybody, yes, there's a list. And who is he introduced to Jeffrey Epstein by? Lady Rothschild. I mean, everything keeps pointing back to one country more than any other. Keeps pointing back to Israel. And it seems like the timing of this disclosure was meant as some sort of, hey, I got everything under control here. You don't have to worry about any of your scandals getting exposed. But why do you want to link up your hitch your wagon to Bibi Netanyahu of all people if you're Donald Trump? That has usually not worked out well for American interests. And the Epstein, if we're doing this for Israel, this is the greatest donation of all time. And it's coming at American political capital, Donald Trump's political capital. Is it worth it? I can't imagine it. But even if that's the decision made, then simply go in and say, don't disclose anything about intelligence, but disclose to the world that you're hiding that. You're saying for intelligence purposes, we're not telling you what this is. We have to protect foreign relations. Say, okay, that would be much more acceptable than the nonsense, than the gaslighting we're getting from the Trump administration.
Again, they do this all the time. What we're asking for is some disclosure, something, right? Throw a bone. Give us anything that says that you want to reestablish trust on this issue. It's not going away. It's doing the opposite. So we're just trying to help, like a good friend who stops you from getting in a bar fight that you're going to lose and get your ass kicked. Like we're trying to help, right? Say this is a loser. This is a loser. You got to go at it differently. Robert, thank you for your analysis here. I hope that you're back often and regularly. Robert has almost 400,000 subscribers on X. You should be one of them. I know he also has a show on Rumble with our dear friend Viva. And ladies and gentlemen, a sharp mind. Thank you, Robert.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody.
Keeping us sharp this morning when, as ever, we got little sick kids at home and they're up all night, just the way it works. And I am piping hot in the morning with my blackout coffee. My blackout coffee fills my cup. I drink about a pot a day. Can you tell? This is a damn good cup of coffee. I drink my coffee black. That's how you know it's good coffee. You also know it's good coffee because it's not a grifter brand. It's a brand that is made right here in America. It employs Americans. Here in the state of Florida, I've actually seen their operation myself. It's a wonderful brand, ladies and gentlemen. Just premium small batch roasted coffee. No wokeness, no politics, just people who love this country and want to make a damn good product. That's what is in my cup, piping hot every morning, and keeps us locked and loaded for a week like today. Like this week. Like this day. Some months feel like a day. Some days feel like a month. Whew, man, this week has been a wild one. The point is that Blackout Coffee every single morning for me, and if you believe in hard work and American values, then you also should be drinking Blackout Coffee. Get yourself a hot cup at blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Use code Benny for 20% off your first order. Support the American dream. Drink Blackout and get the energy to fight the commies. Drink Blackout Coffee at blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now, the legendary Roseanne Barr, who has a lot of really exciting things going on as ever, but also I believe has quite a few things to say on this topic, the topic of the week. Here we go. Roseanne, welcome back to the show. Always an honor to have you. Good morning to you.
Good to be with you.
So you went viral this week in a response post saying, listen, it's not gonna cut it. Not gonna cut it. Just saying, shut up, move along on the Epstein issue. Given how much you know about Hollywood, celebrity culture, and so on, and some of these universes, right, that are entangled here, just want to give you the floor to explain yourself. Like, what's your take on all of this and how it's being handled?
Well, I always say that the news, what we see on the news, all news venues, is just a trick to cover up the real news that they don't want us to see. And I think that's what's going on. And I think that America, I think that MAGA, they're trying to divide us, and they're trying to make, because MAGA's infiltrated like everything else is infiltrated. And we are in a war. We're in a war between good and evil, and we're in a war, an information war, which is like called 5th generation warfare. And, it's like a bombardment of false information. It's really hard to dig through it and put the severed pieces together, because what they like to do is sever the pieces. So they never, like a jigsaw puzzle, we can never put it together. But that's what I like to do. I think my talent from working on the show, Roseanne Show, for so long, I became a really good editor, because I'd take these scripts, move them around, break them down, change them, and I became a good editor. So I like to seek a variety of information and then try to put the severed parts together. So I've been watching what's going on, and I think, Trump doesn't want to, this is what I think. He doesn't want to tell us yet. And, he's smarter than everybody. We know that. And he's a million steps ahead of everybody else, too. And we know that a lot of things he does that we don't get, we get later. And a lot of it is a kind of theater of exposure for people he chooses that, like, within 2 or 3 weeks, they implode. And I think that's all a part of it. I was a big Q girl, and, all the information we got there for years, it seems to be that this is the big exposure. And to me, I always read everything about Israel and America, and what are we really doing there? What are the Abraham Accords? And I think that that's really what they don't want us to know about. They don't want us to know about America's reshaping the entire Middle East for the benefit of America. And that needs to be said. And so I think what the whole thing is, as I have put the severed pieces together from so many directions, is that I think, we were in a subterranean war for a long time regarding tunnels, where they traffic children, where they traffic drugs, where they traffic arms, and, human cargo. We all know about that. That's all a part of this, the Epstein thing. For instance, where did the children from Haiti go? Why did they go to Epstein Island? And we know all that stuff. And then we think about the war on tunnels worldwide, blowing up these tunnels, these trafficking tunnels is what they're called. And we think about, or I think about, the center of that being, I hate to say devil, but it is the devil. And the center of all of that kind of leftist, demonic, using people as prey and product. Do you know what I mean, Benny?
Oh, yes. And I know you've spoken about it extensively on the program and gone viral on exposing.
Well, the
how this
center
works.
of that, and it all goes through the UN, and it's called the UN Agenda 30. And you know about that, Benny, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I figured out that Gaza was the center of it. And when they blew up these tunnels that go from Iran to Egypt underneath all the, the Rafah tunnel, the Philadelphia corridor, and all these things over the trafficking of, it's sad, but a lot of stuff we left in Afghanistan got trafficked to the Houthis, who used it against Israel. I mean, it's huge. But I think that the center of the UN's child trafficking, money making, all the NGOs, all of that stuff about USAID, that's where it was going. And I think they took them out. I think they took their money away. And maybe Trump's like telling us in some way, you don't need to worry about it anymore because it's been handled. And when the time is right, we're going to let you know. And I think that what everybody also is missing in their whack-a-mole find the Jew thing, which is part of MK Ultra, German mind control. And, power always puts a Jew in the window so you can blame them. But the real people in power, I want to say this, the real people behind Epstein Island, this needs to be said, I think, to refute mind control that wants everything great in our country to end and wants the spirit of America to go no further than our own borders so they can contain and destroy it. Democracy and women's rights, and it's called horizontal rule. They like vertical rule. They like fiefdom and feudalism, and we don't, right? We don't like that in America. And it was funny when they had that no kings crap, that. Well, that's what America is founded on, no kings. Okay, not the leftist idea of it, but no kings. Well, let's go to Epstein Island. Where do you think Epstein got the money and the influence and everything it took to build an island, to bring powerful people, bankers, elitists? Where do you think he got that? And I don't understand why this keeps being missed. He got that power from Prince Andrew of the British throne. And I really want that said, because of course that's why it was worldwide. And of course that's Prince Andrew brought royals from all over the world there. And that's why they have a temple there. Because if you really understand what everything is about, it's about a group of people who control the world and always have. And they are dark. Their religion is the oldest religion. It's a Canaanite religion. It's in the Bible. And, they worship the dark, and they sacrifice children. They do everything that we hear about in vampire stories and everything else that captures our imagination. And we're supposed to wake up to that. And I think that, Trump's out here and he's going to make us wake up. And I think if he doesn't, God will. And I do think that God guides Trump. And when the time is right, we'll all hear the truth. And we've been waiting a long time. A couple more years ain't going to make no difference. But if you have the eyes to see it, there it is in black and white. It's a vertical rule, a fiefdom, with kings at the top and the prey at the bottom. And it's been that way for a million years, and it's changing. And it's changing because of President Trump. And so I just say, I love Trump. I wish he would just give us a couple of clues. He doesn't have to tell us everything, but tell us that we won this war. Don't tell us, oh, yeah, it's no big deal. You don't even need, it's kind of bad that you're even questioning or talking about it. The language he's using is not good. It's not the right language, Mr. President. And I think you need to be very transparent and let people know what this country and the people who fight for it have undergone in tunnels all over the world. I think you need to be forthcoming about that and how you have, in fact, stopped and arrested so many people who are child traffickers. You need to tell people that, and I think they can handle it. And I think this is the time for you to do it. And then as slowly as you want to do it, keep on sharing about what is happening in that portion of the world where you can marry a 9-year-old and what all that means and why people in this country seem to be delighted to support that. And it's a huge war. And Trump, you need to be more forthcoming of a commander-in-chief to us out here. And I'll help to disclose, because I have a lot of friends inside and we all know a lot. We know that more traffickers have been arrested in the United States than it's even imaginable, and more children saved. And you need to let us know that so that we don't lose heart in God, this country, you and each other. And I know you can do it. I love you. I tell you all the time, let us in a little bit. And that's what I think, Benny. And I think he's remade the world. I think he has put all of these people who follow that way, I think he's put them in check. I think he is remaking the world at the core there where the UN does all that stuff, Benny. And you know it's true. And it's already been exposed a million times. It needs to stop, and I think he's stopping it. And we love and support him for that. I just want him to give us some more information. I hope I've said something that helps wake people up a little bit more. Don't fall into this trap that they're people who don't mean well for the United States are setting for us to divide us so that none of us have any power as a cohesive voice to go to our president and say, we are ready to hear it, Mr. President. We're ready to hear it together as we stand together in defense of this constitutional republic of the United States of America, where we have sent our own children to fight, die, and defend for. Please, let us have it. We're ready.
I couldn't agree with that more, Roseanne. I think that the American people are adult enough to accept everything from the JFK, MLK files, from the Epstein files. And I think that that's it's about time that the federal government treats us like adults and like we can handle it. The reason why I think this is blowing up in such a PR crisis is because the what Epstein has become quite cultural, because the people who were involved, many of them Hollywood types, people that you may or may not have known. You say the No Kings protest. You were certainly the queen of Hollywood. And there is this clip that I just can't get out of my mind. And it was from 2020. It's a long time ago. It's the single best roast of Hollywood I've ever heard from Ricky Gervais. I'm going to play
that was so great.
Really short clip here. And it's just 20 seconds. But he says something, and it's so telling, especially the responses from the Hollywood elite in the room, where he says, you're all friends with Epstein. You had to use your own plane to get here. Here we go.
That's a show about a man who wants to kill himself because his wife dies of cancer. And it's still more fun than this, okay? Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way. So in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care. You had to make your own way here in your own plane, didn't you?
So...
You know what, Benny? I don't think he's dead. I think they took him out of there, and, I think he gave everybody up. I don't think he died.
I mean, the floor is yours. Please expound.
Well, when they took it, my son goes, "Don't start, Mom," because I go down a lot of rabbit holes. Maybe they're crazy, maybe they're not. Everything else I've said has come true after everybody said I was crazy. But they say that, it's all about, okay, when they took that body out that's supposed to be Jeffrey Epstein, how come the profile looked just like Anthony Bourdain? It didn't look like no Jeffrey Epstein.
The reason I play the clip, Roseanne, is because obviously this is your experience vector and you're from this world and you were the queen of Hollywood. And so when that joke was made, first off, what was your reaction? Maybe you were watching it live at the Golden Globes.
Oh, yeah.
And then two,
I was mad, Benny.
What do you know? Yeah.
I was like, why am I not up there saying that? Damn, I'm so jealous. He wrote the greatest jokes. I was just jealous and seething, but I was cheering like, hell yeah. And then they would go to Tom Hanks and get his face. I'm like, hey, there's some of our type in Hollywood behind them cameras and writing, helping Ricky, shape his act. Because, you have to have helpers because any show they watch everything you say, pick it apart. So he had to have that approved. So there's some of our kind in there, people who just are not buying the BS anymore and know better. Because we saw with our own eyes what they do. We saw what they do. I mean, the last Hollywood party I went to, I won't mention the person's name, but everyone was there. It was A+, whatever the hell, all the movie stars. And in comes a big movie star, and with him, his date, who was a 12-year-old boy. Okay, everybody was in their corners going, and I went, Lord, help me find my keys and get to my car. I had been drinking, like always. But I go, Lord, help me get my keys and get to my car and get the holy hell out of here and make it home safely. Please, Lord. And I ran for my life. And that was the last time, Benny. So, yeah, I know what they do. And I know they do even worse. And I moved to Hawaii. Couldn't be there 1 second longer than I had to. And then to think that I came back from Hawaii to go there again because I saw how bad they were trying to separate people. And, the only reason they separate us and say, oh, that's the Republicans, that's the Democrats. The only reason they do that, Benny, is for fundraising because we're their prey. They definitely don't represent any of us or do nothing for us. They just use us for fundraising bait. But I came back to Hollywood to try to fight the separation they were trying to, because divide and conquer. And the second time back, it had gotten even worse. Oh, my God. But it's all devil worshipers. I'm telling you, I always say, baby blood drinking Democrat donors. That's it, period.
Just a final question on this topic, since, of course, it is your expertise. What do you think would happen if there was an honest prosecution of people at Diddy parties, people on the Epstein list? Do you think that anybody would be left standing in Hollywood? Is it that endemic?
I think it goes to the royals of the world, the kings and queens. That's how they get there. Come on, it isn't just Hollywood. It's everything. It's the devil's world. And it's up to us to wrestle it back and fix it and kick their ass out. They got to go. They got to go. And, I think God's removing them. I think God's removing them a boatload at a time. And how he's showing us he's removing them is when they get on the TV or what have you, they implode themselves with their friggin' lies. Their bullshit hit the wall. And they implode right before our eyes with their, for me, it's like when they start cursing out the Jews. That's the devil. To me, I'm a Jew. But when you go after God in the Bible and the people who study every word in the Bible, I'm not talking about, lefties and commie Jewish people I call ginos, Jews in name only. But I mean, us that believe and we study and we wait and we believe. And, you know, they just want to destroy us and everything that we have lived through. And it's a war, because in the Torah, it says God created this earth to be a place where there would be a war between good and evil. That's what it says. And that's what we're seeing. And we're also seeing those who hate God. They hate the Bible. They hate people who are believers of that. They're coming hard on us. They're coming hard against us, and they're tearing us apart. But, you know, luckily, you know, also in Judaism, it says that, you know, though it looks like 99% is the material world, when we look out as human beings, we see 99% material world, physical world. It's the 1% that matters, because that's God. God is in this place of darkness, this world. The 1% is all that matters. And so I'm just watching it in that way, going, look at how God's exposing them. Look how they say one thing and do another. Look at their double standards. Look how they condemn these people for doing the same thing that they laud these people for doing. Look how they do. Look at it. See it. You're supposed to see it. You're supposed to witness it, because witnessing it weaves it into visibility, and then it will disappear. When people see it, when people pray it away, it'll go away. And it's all internal work. And don't be like all, you know, watching for devil porn. Get it in here and, you know, connect, see it, that it can be taken apart. Everything's strung together with words. Everything can be undone with words, the right words, holy words. And that's the 1%. And like I say, well, you know, there's a 99% versus a 1% that, you know, that's the chance we have, is the 1% in the 100%. But of course that's going to win, because that's the one that matters. That's all there is. All there is God. None of these devil worshiping fools, they're not going to win. They got a little bit of a show to put on, but enjoy it, because at the end, they look like a bunch of assholes. Every damn one of them, from Schumer. Oh, they're assholes, and we're seeing it. And we're watching the people that are defending them, and they're assholes too. It's a war of good people against assholes. So be sure to witness it. That's my 2 cents.
We often say on this program, Roseanne, it's a war of darkness versus light. But yeah, the good people versus assholes. You know, we will certainly put that as a quote from Roseanne. You know what? That's the Roseanne version of that. Yes, not a group, God is in.
Because there's assholes in every group. So you're not fighting a whole group. You're fighting assholes of every color and stripe and belief. They're bad.
God is in control. That's exactly right. Don't put your faith in man or political parties. But we did want to shout out Roseanne Is America. This is your new documentary.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And yes, it is available right here. Roseanne, just a quick run through this documentary.
Well, I say in there, I'm not going to let the assholes win. For every breath I have left in my body, damn hell no. I'm too old not to fight.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find Roseanne Is America at Roseanne Is America right here up on your screen. If you want more of this, fire and brimstone called down upon your head, it's the legendary Roseanne. Godspeed, Roseanne. Right here, you can follow her on X. 1.5 million followers on subscribers. Very glad you got out of Hollywood, Roseanne. Now you're free to speak.
Me too. Thank you, God.
Yes.
Thank you, Benny. You're a doll. And God bless you and your gorgeous family, honey.
Godspeed, Roseanne. Thank you. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was quite the wild day of interviews. Again, I want to just emphasize this. We are massive fans of the administration, and we're fans of what they're doing. They're our friends. These are people that have been on our show. And this is a week that is not like us trying to like rage click or anything like that. This is like a tough love week. There are things that we disagree with. Now, for instance, like this is something that we did with, we don't want more wars. We're also very, very against like the furtherance of any type of war or American boots on the ground in the Middle East and so on. And you make your voice be known, and we're just trying to be helpful. That's it. We're just trying to be helpful. And we have a movement here, and we have a country if we can save it, and we're going to be saving it later today at Student Action Summit here in Tampa. We have an incredible slate of speakers. It's going to be awesome. We're doing actually a meet and greet in about an hour, which is why we got a skedaddle here. And we just love y'all. We know that sometimes maybe you don't, maybe we may not agree, but we thank you for watching. And we're trying to build a movement here of honesty. We tell you exactly where we're coming from. And I promise you this, we will never, ever lie to you. We'll tell you what we think. We'll explain our work. And we'll talk through it together. We'll be in the chat. We'll be speaking tonight live also at 7 o'clock. So you can check the feed there. We'll share all the links on our social media. And we have a message of unity and hope. And strangely, somehow, in some peculiar way, hooking in with what Roseanne was talking about, which is that, God is in control. And yeah, there are no kings here because Christ is king. And that God is in control. And we say it all the time on this program, leading to our verse of the day. Today from 2 Thessalonians, the Lord is faithful, who will establish you and guard you from the evil one. Well, that's kind of the point of the show, isn't it? You should be against all child trafficking, obviously, whether it ends up in a marijuana field somewhere in California or whether it ends up on an island of some intel asset. You got to be against it. You got to be against it. In principle, it's a very simple binary. I have people coming up to me. I have people like my entire, text message and emails melting down. People coming up being like, thanks for speaking out on this. Well, it's not even hard, actually, when you have the right motivation. When you got kids and you see their innocence and you see that they're angels from God and you want to protect these kids. And the way to protect kids is not to let them get to Epstein Island or to let them end up in a field in slave labor. That's not humanitarian, actually. Letting hundreds of thousands of kids go missing in our country. That's evil, and we speak against it. That's exploitative by its very nature. And so we're locking in to help our friends, and we're locking in to shout our victories, and we're locking in because in the end, we win. Because in the end, it's not about us mortal, sunken, fallen men or a political party or anything, actually. It's about our relationship with God, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And so that's what we're going to lock in. And in the end, we win. Thank you for rolling with us this week. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
What would you say you do here?
I will fight every day to restore confidence and integrity to the Department of Justice and each of its components.
The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings, and their dying legacy, media deal weeds. Soon will the Benny Show come to mind, assault from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun, we sail for #1. Come to mind, assault from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun, we sail for #1. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.